Hey, everybody. Remember, if you're a fan of the Tennessee Volunteers or just sports in general, please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. Now, let's get to the video. Hey, guys. How's it going? Hope you're all doing well. Happy Wednesday. Hope your week is going very well thus far. We're slowly churning, somewhat in the midst of conference tournament season. The big boys, as I like to call it, are going to start this weekend into next week. So super excited about this. For the video today, I want to go over some recaps of some notable games from yesterday, starting first and foremost with my Tennessee Volunteers. An impressive win over South Carolina, 78-59. Pretty much a game that was dominated by Tennessee from start to finish. No offense to South Carolina, but Tennessee looked like the more athletic, gifted, well-coached team. Honestly, that makes sense given South Carolina's now 12-18, one of the worst teams in the Power 4, Power 5, whatever you would like to call it so far this season. And again, pure domination from Tennessee from start to finish. A favorite show of mine is Field of 68 After Dark. So I like to listen to that most nights. And this happened, I want to say it was Kentucky against South Carolina over the weekend. And people were like, wow, Kentucky looked really good, really handled South Carolina. And one of their announcers came off and said, let me be straight. I think it was Jeff Goodman said, any game against South Carolina is a get-right game. Virtually most teams with talent and who are well-coached can go in, can play South Carolina, and can frankly kind of wipe the floor with them. And this is something that we saw. I mean, the gym was virtually empty. It was an odd tip-off too. It happened at 6:00. I wasn't used to that. I always have my routine when I get off work. I try to watch, pardon the interruption, a little bit of Sports Center, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's 7:00. Let me flip it over here to the Tennessee game. Already into the second half. So I was like, holy crap, this is kind of shocking. But again, Tennessee just ran all over these guys. Quickly show the box score here. Again, Tennessee 78, South Carolina 59. South Carolina, if we look at it as a game of halves, their second half was not as bad as their first half, but again, the two heroes of the game were Felix Okpara as well as JP Estrella. JP Estrella, again, is someone I talk about in a lot of videos. If we can get him right, if we can get him comfortable, he is a massive game changer. I actually heard one of the announcers compared him to a Kevin McHale type player. Just a broad-shouldered, strong post player who can out-physical and out-finesse the defender, and you saw that. There was this electric dunk that Estrella had where he just took the ball, slammed it. South Carolina guy just got out of the way. That is the Estrella that we need during this upcoming run and march. And if we get that, it'll be good for us. Notable absence today was Nate Ament after that game this last weekend against Alabama. Injured his knee, had a twisted ankle as well. Rick Barnes had said after the game, had today been the last game of the season, that Nate would have played. So hopefully precautionary. Hopefully we see him for a big game this coming Saturday. Why is it so big? You win this game, Tennessee, you get that double bye. So win against Vanderbilt, you're one of the top 4 seeds, and you get 2 back-to-back byes, which will be great, for rest to come into the SEC tournament fresh-legged. And who knows what happens? Maybe you can win the SEC. Kind of find it unlikely with Florida just sitting there staring at the conference and the tournament as a whole, but something that we should watch closely. Moving on. Another game, so an interesting and somewhat of a surprising outcome, if you're a casual, was the Texas Tech TCU game. So Texas Tech went into the game at 8.5-point favorite. TCU, fun fact about them, they are the second shortest team in all of college basketball, like Division I college basketball. They are incredibly short, but they are quite lethal, and they are lethal shooters. And honestly, this was something that was on display most of the game. Again, this was something that Texas Tech went into the half with a small lead, but once the second half came in, TCU just lit them up from not necessarily from deep, but just again really went on these scoring streaks that were a huge difference maker in the game. Huge for TCU. This likely makes them a lock for the upcoming tournament. I mean, a win against Texas Tech, who is, as much as it begrudges me to admit, because I have beef with a lot of Texas Tech people, Texas Tech is no scrub of a team. So to get this win for TCU, it's huge for them and their bubble implications, and likely firmly cements them in the tournament. What does this mean for Texas Tech? I mean, they are a team that lost their best player. Incredibly unfortunate. Just a couple of weeks ago, JT Toppin, one of the best big men in the entire game of basketball, I'll admit that. And we would be lying to ourselves if we said Texas Tech was the same team with and without him. They're not. Texas Tech has had some big wins. They just beat Iowa State without him. So by no means are they an easy out or a team that's going to come apart. What makes them so interesting, and I've said this all along, Texas Tech is like the Alabama of the Big 12, where they can drain a lot of threes, shoot them in your face. But the thing that made them even more deadly was the fact they had JT Toppin. Without JT Toppin, they're lacking a lot of that size and a lot of that physicality, which means they have to overly rely on those threes. We can see here they had 11 three-pointers this game, still wasn't enough, right? So when they're lacking that interior presence that JT Toppin provides, do not be surprised if they struggle and they drop games. Earlier in the season, a lot of people had these guys as a Elite Eight, Final Four caliber team. I do think with JT Toppin, being injured and being out, it's incredibly unlikely. I think they will go as far as their three-point shots will take them. And this is not the NBA. You don't get a 7-game series. All it takes is one cold game and you're out. So we'll see what happens there. And then lastly, the last thing I wanted to highlight here, for the Kentucky fans out there, your up and down season continues. As a Tennessee fan, it brings me a lot of satisfaction, but in the same breath, I'm sitting here and I'm like, what in the world do we need to do to hold on to double-digit wins, double-digit leads against Kentucky and win games? Texas A&M, again, one of those teams similar to Texas Tech. Maybe it's just a Texas team thing. 13 threes, they almost shot 50% from three. I don't care who you are as a team, Kentucky, Tennessee, Kansas, Arizona. If another team shoots 50% from three and they're hitting anything above 7 or 8 threes, you're in for a long night. And that's exactly what it was. Kentucky was on the road. Texas A&M employs buckyball being majority of the game, full court press, trying to generate turnovers and shooting as many threes as humanly possible. So couple that with, Kentucky just being a little bit cold at times. This resulted in Texas A&M being able to grab that victory. And again, another huge game for someone who was perceived to be on the bubble, maybe on the outside looking in. Now Texas A&M's probably one of those last 4 teams in. I would say this was a huge win. Unfortunate loss for Kentucky. However, again, they're probably they are eliminated as far as I'm aware from that double bye consideration. I'd like to hear what Kentucky fans think about Mark Pope. Again, this team has had high of highs, but also some low of lows. The way the beginning of the season started, through the middle where the team started coming together, 2 huge wins against Tennessee that frankly should have been losses. Say what you will. Tennessee blew those games. Kentucky took them from took a game from the jaws of defeat and made it their own. But again, Kentucky's one of the biggest teams in the country with a big question mark. I would not be surprised if they made it all the way to a Final Four, and I would not be surprised if they got bounced in the round of 64. So we'll see what happens with Kentucky in the coming weeks. But something tells me this roller coaster has a few more highs and a couple of more lows, and we'll just see where that ends up. So again, wanted to put my thoughts out there, share, my reaction from some of the notable games yesterday rather. I'm getting that itch. I think a lot of us are. We're so close to tournament season, which is arguably one of the most electric times in all of sports. So I look forward to it. Let me know what you think down below. Are you a fan of one of these teams? If not, who do you support? Drop it down in the comments. Let me know what you think your team's going to do come tournament time, and I look forward to reading them. Thanks. Thanks again for stopping in today. And remember, if you like this content, I can't ask enough. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Any and all support's greatly appreciated. And as always, go Vols!